Welcome to Parent Coaches Unleashed, the podcast where we dive into the highs, lows, and did that really just happen moment of parenting teens and young adults. We're Carrie and Jessica, parent coaches, mythbusters, and occasional referees in the battle of hormones versus common sense.
If you've ever wondered, is this just happening to me? You're not alone. We're here to help you with real talk, expert advice, and hopefully a few laughs along the way. Need more support? We also offer private coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements because sometimes even parents don't have all the answers.
So continue listening as we tackle this parenting journey together.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed. Today's topic is something we all have in common. It doesn't matter where you come from, what religion you are, how many kids you have, if any, what your job entails. Can anyone guess what I'm talking about? What we all have in common? It's stress. We all have it. Definitely in different varying degrees, but we still have it. And our kids have it too. And these days, it seems like our kids' levels of stress is just rising at an alarming rate. So what sets us apart? What sets us apart is how we deal with this stress. What tools do we have? And Carrie and I had the pleasure of meeting someone who has an incredible strategy or tool, whatever you prefer, to help us and to help our kids deal with the stresses in our lives.
So we are going to welcome this expert. We are so excited to have her today. Her name is Diedra Perry. She is a coach and a certified HeartMath Mentor. She works with children, athletes, and corporate teams teaching resilience training. Deidra's passion in this field began years ago when she worked for the famed Tony Robbins. But more importantly, she is also the mother of two sons and is joining us today from Las Vegas, Nevada. So welcome, Diedra.
Hi, Diedra.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
We're so happy you're with us, and we cannot wait to just dive right in. So I guess we're going to start with the question that was our question when we first heard about you is, what is HeartMath?
HeartMath is this amazing organization they're really like scientists and researchers that have been around for over 30 years, and they've done extensive research learning about the heart and the brain, like how they work together, how they communicate together, and how our emotional states affect our physiology. They created this technology called heart rate variability, HRV. You see it around with Oura rings and Apple Watch. They have HRV as well. They can tell you like how much HRV you have in a day. This technology that they designed tells you the patterns, which is really important when we talk about stress, because as you were saying earlier, like we're feeling different types of stress all day long, and not all stress is bad, but these days, oftentimes, especially when we're not aware, we're really depleted. And HeartMath has done an amazing job with creating these programs and this technology and this education, the science-backed research that really shows the communication between the heart and the brain, like really how it works, like how our nervous system is responding to everyday stress.
So a couple of interesting things. So this HRV, is that how whatever mechanisms that you're wearing on your wrist, is that how it measures it by recording your pulse? I'm imagining like different levels of stress cause a different reaction, causing either your heart rate to change, or am I on the right track here? Is that what you're referring to?
Right. Yes. So when we are experiencing stress, we have our heartbeat, because it's not the same. It doesn't just beat the same throughout the day, but it can become erratic. And so in between the heartbeats, there is activity. And that activity then sends the signal from the heart to the brain. And depending on what's going on, we can go into fight or flight, we can go into shutdown. But that heart rate variability, it really tracks the changes. So it's a variation of change. So like I said, with an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring, it can show you like how much you have in a day. But this technology that HeartMath has, it shows you in real time. It updates every 5 seconds. So if you were, and it goes on your ear or on your finger, it does pick up your pulse. And it's so sophisticated that, like I said, every 5 seconds, it can show you depending on what you're thinking about, what you're feeling. Like it shows you the communication between your heart and brain, like what is going on. It's also an indicator of your overall health, how you're
Okay.
responding to situations.
So then what is the benefit to knowing when your rates are changing?
The benefit is, well, first, sometimes we have been in this state of fight or flight for so long, this chronic stress, we don't even know that we are stressed all the time. It's like
Okay.
that story of like the frog being in warm water and eventually like it starts to boil, which I know is a weird analogy, but it doesn't know that it's in hot water, but I feel like we can kind of live in that state. So this technology shows like, whoa, like I'm stressed right now. I didn't even know that because we're so used to feeling it. So it's a
Mhm.
way to train yourself. It's a way to like reset your nervous system. It's called neuroplasticity, where when we can see in real time what's happening, we can make those little changes where we can train ourselves, train our nervous system to respond and not react to things that are just to the stressors that are happening every day. And
Okay.
also on the flip side, it also like, and I don't want to get like, because I can't show you right now, but it's called when we're in coherence, when our heart and brain are like, we call it being in the green. There's like clear communication between the heart and brain. And you can see that too. So then you can also see, wow, this really makes me feel good. So then it's like, do more of that. So it's not just showing you the stress, but it's also showing you where your nervous system feels calm.
Okay.
All right.
Can you
So,
just wait, I'm sorry, Carrie, before you start. I just had a quick question. If you can just tell us quickly, what are the negative impacts that stress and a prolonged state of stress can have on our bodies, on
Gosh,
our health?
there's so much. I mean, well, first, like when we're in that constant state of stress, and our nervous system is in that fight or flight, we call it our thinking brain or prefrontal cortex. We don't make the best decisions. We don't like it affects our focus. It affects our digestion. It affects our sleep, which sleep is everything. That could be a whole other podcast, like essential for how your day is going to go
Sure.
in a lot of ways. But really, it's like, yeah, so it affects digestion, focus, and even like if you are, like I said, I work with athletes. So if you are an athlete of any kind, when you're playing, even your blood vessels constrict, and your body gets tight. So it affects your performance. It affects like having to make decisions like quickly.
So there's
uh,
definitely a benefit for all of us learning how to live in a much more reduced state of stress.
yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, real quick, even just how we're communicating with each other. If you're in a constant state of stress, you're not going to have great communication with your partner, your friend,
That's a great
uh,
point.
I mean, in the classroom, at home, anywhere really. So it helps you with better communication and also like checking in like how you're feeling every day too. I mean, so if you're in a constant state of stress, like it's hard to see that.
All right. So, my question was, if someone does not have access to an HRV monitor or some sort of technology to know what's going on inside, can you describe to us some of the physical signs that we would feel so we know that we are potentially in this very unbalanced state or the fight flight constantly?
Oh yeah. And the technology is a bonus. Like some clients I meet with on Zoom, so we don't get to do that together. But the typical ones are, sweaty hands. Like that's always, a thing. When you even like the way we speak, like when we can talk fast when it's more emotional than it is logical. That's always or even shutdown. Like it's not always fight or flight, but the shutdown too is when we feel withdrawn or when we see our child or our partner or someone else when they're just you can just kind of see you can see it on their face. And also our heart is electromagnetic. So we actually can
Mm.
feel how someone else is feeling. Like even if we don't really know that we're doing that, like when we walk into a room and we can even feel like, oh, what's going on here? Or the opposite. So we give off this energy, this energetic field that we have coming from our heart. You can feel that from someone too. But the typical signs really are, racing heart, sweaty palms, talking fast, or again, like the shutdown where they're very withdrawn.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great. That's
So,
great information to have. Thank you.
would you be able to? All right. So, what is the tool? Like, what do you do to help your clients regulate their nervous system? Like, how can we're never going to get rid of stress. We always will have stress, good and bad. So, what do you do? Walk us through maybe some examples of what you do with your clients.
So there's 6 different techniques that HeartMath has, but the first one, it's the baseline. We do this no matter which technique we're doing. We can always layer it on. I mean, if I was going to be in a session, we would talk about the stressors and the stress, like the things that are actually causing that. But if I didn't have time for that, for whatever reason, walking him through the heart focused breathing, that is the name of the baseline technique that we do. So it's really actually helpful first if we're acknowledging like what it is that's causing stress, and even like if they can identify that feeling. But if that's not there for them that day for whatever reason, then I just start to guide them. And I can show you now. One of the reasons that I love this technique too is that you can do it anytime, anywhere. You can have your eyes opened or closed, and no one even knows, no one has to know that you're even doing it.
So do you want to walk Carrie and I through an exercise right now? Is that
Yeah.
something? Okay.
Yeah. So this one I'll do it for like 3 minutes
Okay.
Yep.
if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, guys, we're doing an on-air presentation here.
So again, you
Hope-
can have your eyes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, hopefully listeners, you're at home, like sitting on the couch or in bed where you can join us and not driving in your car. But
Oh, actually, you know what, Carrie, but to be honest,
okay.
like with this one, you can do it with your eyes opened. So
Okay.
Okay.
I have some clients who have so much anxiety when they are driving. They cannot stand traffic. It is a major trigger. Oh, well, I would say, you know what? Then I would encourage, if you're listening to this while you're driving, keep your eyes opened the entire time.
Okay.
That's a good suggestion.
Yes.
All
So
right.
you,
So
yeah.
everybody get ready. We're about to experience this together. All right.
Okay,
Go
let's
deep.
go.
Okay. So what you want to do first is take an inhale through the nose and exhale. Another inhale through the nose and exhale. And you can exhale through your mouth or your nose, whichever is most comfortable for you. Now, while you're breathing this way, get that easy rhythm in through the nose and exhaling, I want you to focus your attention in the center of the heart. And if it feels good, you can place a hand on your heart or not. And if you're driving, obviously, hands on the wheel. So place your hands wherever they're most comfortable and continue this rhythmic breathing in through the nose and exhale. And while you're focusing your attention in the center of the heart, I want you to imagine that your breath is flowing in and flowing out of the center of your heart as you continue to breathe in more slowly and more deeply than you usually do. But just find a rhythm that feels really easy and comfortable. So breathing in and exhale. And the whole time focusing your attention in the center of the heart. And just imagine that every breath is flowing in and flowing out of the center of the heart, almost as if your heart is doing the breathing. Continue with your rhythmic breathing in through the nose and exhale. And the whole time focusing your attention in the center of the heart. And just imagine that every breath is flowing in and flowing out of the center of the heart. As you continue to breathe in more slowly and more deeply than you usually do, but just still finding that rhythm that feels really easy and comfortable. And you can take in one more inhale through the nose and exhale. So that is heart-focused breathing. And what I wanted to add on, I'm not sure how much time we have, but quick coherence is another one that we most of the time I do together. Quick coherence is when, while you're breathing that way and you're focusing your attention in the center of the heart, you re-experience a renewing feeling. So the heart-focused breathing is really just resetting your nervous system. So that's why it's a little bit different than just meditation. Like, it's resetting your nervous system in real time. And then on top of that, when you're re-experiencing a renewing emotion, that's when you're really resetting it too. That's when you can really feel that clear communication with your heart and your brain. It's more of a full body experience. It really changes a lot. But if it's not available for you, you can also just go to neutral, because sometimes, depending on the situation, you can't get to a renewing feeling. But just kind of getting to that inner ease feeling is the best first step.
Yeah.
I'm picturing a mom like trying to get ready in the morning and all these things are going wrong or the kids are yelling and your first instinct when you feel that stress building might be to just start yelling at your kids. And we've all been there. We've all had those moments. But I'm thinking, if instead of yelling, if you take the minute to reset, to pause and to reset, you can look at the situation from a completely different perspective. Is that how it's intended to be used?
You're 100% right, Jessica. Yes. And the more that you do this, there's something else. It's called, prep, shift, and reset. So
Okay.
when you're doing this, like when you're getting ready, which I'll tell you a story later about me getting ready this morning. I actually was doing my heart focused breathing while I was drying my hair. But prepping before you start your day is super important because we talk about an inner battery. So if you're in the red, you're in survival mode and anything can irritate you. But when you are in the green, imagine that inner battery, you have more capacity to and have that awareness of like, whoa, like I need to pause. And you're exactly right. Heart focused breathing is pausing, is you're giving yourself that chance to reset. I cannot stress the importance of prepping, of doing this before you need it. And the more you do it, it's like the heart has a muscle. The more you do it, the better it gets, the easier it gets. Like you can almost do it without thinking about it. And yes, then you can actually take those moments of like, oh, I need to pause and I need to take a moment. And then everything does change. Like your perception does change.
So, what if we don't have 3 minutes, like in a situation with our children or at work? What if we don't have the 3 minutes to do the breathing and to take that pause? Does any little bit of breathing help reset, or does it have to be a certain amount of time?
Not at all. And I was even looking at the time. So I don't even know if we actually did 3 minutes. I like to say that as like a general rule, but even if it's 30 seconds,
Okay.
first of all, even having the awareness of like, I'm depleted or I'm feeling one of those depleting emotions. And then the minute you start to inhale and exhale, you're activating the autonomic nervous system. The inhale is the sympathetic, the exhale is the parasympathetic. And you start to, we have this analogy of like driving a car. There's the gas and the brake. When we're inhaling and exhaling, we're creating that balance. So then our car's not, crashing into other things. So there's no time. The moment you have the awareness and the moment you start to breathe in and breathe out, that's the first step.
Okay.
So in our prep work, when Carrie and I were talking to Diedra in our initial phone call, one of the things that came up, which I found so interesting in regards to our children, when we think about some things that cause our kids stress, like test anxiety or performance anxiety. And I brought up the example of my son who plays football, and his performance at practice is much different than his performance on the field in game time. And he's spoken to me about the stressors that come up for him. So Diedra shared with us that these are the kids, this is what she works with. And when we talk about, this is where my mind is at now personally, because my son is preparing for the SATs. When you have a kid who's scoring 1,500 on all their practice tests, and then the day comes and they come out and they say to you, I don't know what happened, I froze, I forgot everything. That's what we're talking about here too, right, Diedra? So can you tell us how this strategy helps kids that are dealing with that type of stress?
Oh, yeah. And it's beyond common practice versus game time, because game time, then you have adrenaline going, you have all this other stuff, and which is great. We need all that and it feels good, but it can actually flood the system. So when they know how to do that heart focused breathing and even the quick coherence part where they're re-experiencing a renewing emotion, there's another one called attitude breathing that I've done with from little league to I have a couple of elite athletes I work with. If you're like, how do I feel right now? I am feeling the blank. Well, how do I want to feel? And then you focus on that feeling. Like one kid in Little League is like, I want to feel courageous. I want to feel, I'm like, okay, well, breathe that feeling in. So when you become aware of like how you're feeling before you start a game, and I even say like on the way to the game, start to prep.
Right. That's where the prep work would come in before a game time.
Oh, it's before the
Even
game time when you're, like when you're on the field, like you're putting on your gear, or if you're playing tennis, you're getting everything out. If you're bouncing the ball, like you're adding your breath with that. And yes, your nervous system, like start with that rhythmic breathing, but also focusing on how you want to feel is super important. And being aware of that inner dialogue, because the inner dialogue that creates emotion. If you keep saying like, I'm going to miss the shot, I'm going to miss the shot, probably going to miss the shot.
Mhm.
So really being aware of like how you're feeling, and the more you focus your attention here in the center of the heart and re-experience any renewing feeling that you want, it could be something simple. It's so helpful. So when they're on the field, the more they're focusing on that, they can use the adrenaline to their benefit, not to where it's like, it's locking them up. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to be clear. So the renewing feeling is the feeling that you want to replace the stress that you're having. It's your outcome. It's what you want to see happen. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Okay.
That's the attitude breathing.
Okay.
But even if it's just a quick coherence of like re-experience a feeling of like, like we talk about, like imagine like, if you have a dog, like, like the feeling of, when you're with your pet just bringing in, if it's joy, care, appreciation, gratitude, one of those renewing feelings, just breathing that feeling into the center of the heart when you're doing it. And
Okay.
like you were saying with test taking, it's very common. Again, we have, cortisol is the biggest one, that we talk about. That's the stress hormone. And so this counteracts it. It pauses it. Because when we start getting flooded with that, everything starts to get locked up, our focus, our decision making. So with testing too, prep before you get there. But even while you're taking the test, again, because you can have your eyes opened, I train because I have a couple students I've worked with, and also HeartMath did a huge study with test taking. They even got funding from Congress years ago because they showed how it really does help kids with test anxiety. It's so common, but it helps them sort of just continue that rhythm and help them reset. And I've had students I've worked with personally that were like, it's a game changer. It truly is. And the more you do it, the better it gets.
Right. So obviously, the ideal state is to be able to practice this all the time in our daily lives. Like, so for ourselves as parents, our children, whether it's testing, being an athlete, whatever it is. But how long does someone need to work with you or practice doing this until it becomes a habit that they're seeing and feeling the positive change? Do you have any statistics on that?
It's a great question. It depends on, so with my clients, it ranges from some I see weekly, some every 2 weeks, some once a month. If you like, the hardest part is remembering to practice. So if you can remember to practice a couple of times a day, and after a while, it actually you just do it. You don't even, it's not anything you even have to count. Typically, I mean, they say, if you are doing it every day, like a month or two. I mean, but I have some clients I've worked with for a year, or every now and then, maybe we've worked together for even like 6 months and then we'll do a check-in. Really depending on who I'm working with. I've had a few clients, like they just needed a little something like, oh, thanks for the tool. And then they're on their way. It really depends. But I will say the hardest part is remembering to practice in the beginning, especially.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you said that you might have an example just newly today of how in your household, in your family, how you were able to practice this. And can you share that with us? Because I would love to know like how we can adopt this and show our listeners like a real life example. So if you
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't mind.
No, no. Being a mom, I have lots of opportunities for growth on a daily basis. Um,
As we
I love
all
the way
do.
you said that.
and to reframe it. So this morning I was getting ready to come on this awesome podcast with you guys, and I'm
you.
blow drying my hair, and I was, this part of my hair is flipped over here, and like I was doing my round brush, and I was just in the beginning of drying my hair, and all of a sudden, oh, I should actually back up. Sorry. This morning, my 10-year-old, who has never said this once in his life, he's like, I want to take a shower before school to make myself feel better. I was like, okay. He's been really stuffy. He has really bad allergies. He's never said that ever. I'm like, we had time. I'm like, okay, sure. And he even took a shower last night too. I'm like, sure, why not? So he's in the shower, and then that's when I'm blow drying my hair. And then my blow dryer stops working. And I was like, today you stopped working? What's going on? I'm like literally just getting started. And I'm like, okay, I'll go use the, I have like a not so great blow dryer for, if we ever have a guest over, and I'm like, oh, it gets really hot. I'm like, I'll just use that one. It's fine. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. And in my mind, I'm like, am I going to really see you guys with my hair I'm like, oh my gosh, going through all these. So I'm just trying to like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. And I plugged that one in, and that one's not working. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And so my son comes in, and he's like, oh yeah, I hit the reset. I pushed a button in the bathroom, and I went from like, to like, it wasn't mad, but like I felt that fight or flight. And then I felt relief, and I was like, oh my God. And then I ran downstairs with my blow dryer, my round brush, and I plugged it in the bathroom, and I was like, blow drying. I was like, okay. But I should say also, I was doing my heart focused breathing because I was going to see you guys, and I'm like doing my thing. And I was like, okay, great morning. And then that happened. And then I was back downstairs. I'm like, this is good content. Like, I'm like, thanks, Evan. Shout out, Evan. Thanks, buddy. Because it's every day. But I will tell you, I was prepping. If I wasn't prepping this morning, I'm going to be completely honest. I probably would have yelled at him. I'm being so honest because I was prepping for several minutes. And again, you don't need to do it for several minutes, but I just was, doing my routine, and it was a game changer. And even between us, because he felt bad. And then I'm like, it's fine. And then we laughed about it. And this is not the first time that something like this has happened, or we can laugh about it. But I have plenty of other stories where I'm like, sorry, mom had a moment. I'm just showing you what it looks like when you are not regulated. Now let's start over. Just so you know.
This is my before.
Um, and then the day before, again, because I have 2 boys, so there's every day there's something. And some days I'm like, wow, that was a win. Other days I'm like, that was a loss, but I got to get back in. This is not my last game, right? Of parenthood. So the day before, my son, he does not have a phone yet, which is also a challenge for him, but he's 12 and that's, we're doing that now. But he was on his computer when I said, hey, don't go on YouTube. And he did go on it. And I was upset with him. I was really disappointed, but he came upstairs, and I'm sharing this because this is another way. We're like sitting face to face in my room, sitting on my bed. He's like, he took responsibility. He will have a consequence, but he's like, can we breathe together? And so we don't always have to do this, but it actually adds an extra connection aspect to it, where my hand was on his heart, his hand was on mine, and we did some heart focused breathing together. And then we hugged after. And I love it. And again, it's not our first time. We've been doing this for years, which is one of the reasons why I like HeartMath too, because it gives us a language. It's not just a tool, but we talk about, oh, I'm in fight or flight. Yes, you are. Let's reset that. Or I am too. I'm like, hey, can we have a redo? I get to have redos all the time. So do they. But that was really cool that my 12-year-old feels comfortable enough, because we do it so much. Like, hey, can we breathe together? We call it coherent communication. It is awesome. Even if I don't need it, it's great that we do it together, because he feels supported. It feels good to me. And he even knows, like, yes, he has a consequence, but we didn't go to bed like with all the ick, It felt really good to work through that stuff. And it's real life.
I love everything you just said, from the not having a phone at 12 to your son being able to come up and tell you that, I know you told me not to, but I did it anyway. And then you saying that there would still be a consequence, but that was okay with him. He knew there'd be a consequence. He told you the truth. And then you worked on this breathing. I think, aside from the stress tool, I think that's a great example of parenting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just about being calm. It's really about regulating the nervous system, where we can like reset, where we're not in depletion all the time. Because when we are,
Yeah.
like, we are not our best selves, whether you're a kid or an adult, like whether you're playing, a sport, or you're trying to do your homework, or I mean, or even on the road. I mean,
Right.
it's really like an everyday tool. It's like knowing your body, like knowing like, oh, we have this nervous system, and our behavior and our emotions are directly affected, or directly affects our physiology. It's all
Well,
connected.
when we were talking about when we were when we were starting with the demonstration, and we were jokingly talking about driving, but what you said is true. I mean, think of all the accidents, the terrible tragedies we hear over road rage. I
Yes.
mean, if people just took a moment to reset, all
Mhm.
right, so somebody cut you off. Yeah, that was a shitty move on their part, but
Yeah.
is it worth, let me take a minute, let me take a breath. And I'm curious, after you shared that story with your son, have your kids ever come home and said to you, I had an incident today where this really helped me, or that I was able to reset? Would
Mhm.
you share one? Would you share one of those with us, if
Oh
you can
yeah.
think of one?
Yeah. I mean, Nathan, my older one, like, he was taking a test at school, and it was a really hard math test. And even though he's good at math, he was just, something got kind of stuck in his brain. And he was like, I paused and I did my heart focused breathing, and I gave myself a moment, and then I reset, and then I started over, and then I was able to get through it. And even my youngest, I actually shared this, I think I shared this story on social media a couple of years ago. My younger one told me that the teacher was like getting kind of upset with the class. She's a great teacher too, but she was like, the class was just rowdy that day. And she was like, oh, and Evan, my youngest, I was so like, it made me feel good. And this is a good point to share too, is he raised his hand. He's like, can I guide everyone through breathing? And she was like, sure. And so he went to the front of the class and he did it. A couple kids, of course,
Snickered, or
breathing.
yeah.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
Just
course.
didn't get
Yeah.
it. But guess what? Adults do that too, like
Yeah.
breathing. But it's like, yeah, there's more to it than just
Or
keeping.
they're like, I don't have time for that. Right?
Oh, I
Like,
think
or I'm not good at that, or that doesn't work for me. Like all the excuses.
Right.
totally. It's true. And that's why I like the education part of it too, where we really get into the
The
um
why.
yes. But he did that in front of his class, and I was like, that's amazing.
Mhm.
And so this tool, like, I want my kids to be resilient on their own eventually, I mean, now that they're in the home, but to where they can take this tool and then they can do it in a classroom, or when I don't have to be with them. they can do it on their own. It's like, it's so empowering for kids to know like, hey, I can shift, I can pause, I can do this and not feel so helpless all the time. So I was beyond proud of him. And they play soccer at school every day where it's not fun soccer. It's like World Cup soccer. Like they're so into it. They're so serious. I mean, he talks about it every day and he has to constantly, and he doesn't always remember to do it because he's had days where he's like, oh yeah, I was kind of a hothead that day. But when he does, he plays better. He can apologize to his friend. He can see things differently. It changes your perspective, your perception when you're not in that fight or flight. So
This
I
is
think it's a gift for
amazing.
kids.
It
Yeah.
is
It's mind
such a gift.
clearing.
Yeah. So if as parents we did not start off at the younger age teaching this, is it too late? Can we do this at any time? Can we teach this to even teens and young adults?
Yes. And so my youngest client is 9. My oldest is 75 years young. She is amazing and she's an inspiration. No, it's like we all have a heart and we all have a brain. We all have this nervous system. So it's for anybody. And it's for, I mean, especially like I love this for kids. I love it for teenagers. And honestly, like for my older client, I just feel like it's another way to say like it's never too late. It's never too late. Like, when we learn more about the brain, like, we have all these, neurons and like, it's just, they say like neurons that wire together, fire together. It's just, it's changing that, the way that they are firing, but that's, you have to, it's like creating a new habit, but you're creating a new habit in your brain and you can do that anytime, no
Great.
matter what. Yeah.
Do you do all of your sessions over Zoom?
No, I do a lot in person, but I'm grateful that I can also do this work on Zoom. So the technology is really cool, but you can go in HeartMath and you can buy technology. They have Bluetooth. Actually, they have an app where you can actually use your finger now. You don't even have to buy the piece that goes on it. But I feel like it's pretty affordable. But even if no one has that, you could still do the work because it's not just the breathing. It's also like knowing that what your stressors are, understanding that your emotions are not good or bad. We talk about like emotions are like the weather, like they can change all the time. So it's education. It's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. And it's, depending on who I work with, I create these, individualized practice plans. So it's about you and what you need. So you can do that in person or online.
Great.
Yeah.
Would you share with our listeners how people can reach you? If someone is interested in signing up for a session or having a get to know you with you or getting more information, how would they reach you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but my web address, it's the hardest part is knowing how to spell my name, but it's Diedra Perry, Perry.com. My email is the same, Diedra@DiedraPerry.com. So if you get the Diedra right, you can find me anywhere. So
We'll put that on our link and in our show notes.
So
Yeah.
it's the same as my last name. I before E, except after C, right? Like,
exactly. Yes. I even have family members who misspell it. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go with it. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Diedra, thank you so much for being with us today. I really feel that across the gamut, this is helpful for everybody. And you brought up a whole nother population that we didn't even talk about, but teachers.
Oh yeah.
Could you imagine? I'm just, when you were talking about it, I'm envisioning a world where teachers start their year teaching their kids how to breathe. And just when you need to reset, everyone seems a little on edge here, especially like around the holiday times. We all know what a classroom can be like before going on break, how crazy it gets. Just having the reset of the breathing, I'm excited. I'm excited to see all the benefits from this.
Oh yeah. I've worked in schools a couple of times too, but I think every teacher could use it for themselves. And also it does change the environment in the classroom. There's a lot of little bodies in there with all these big emotions and it's a lot to manage. So it would be a tool that I feel like every classroom could use.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. Diedra, thank you so much
having
for
me
being
today.
with us. Thank
Just
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
It really was. We had a great time with you here.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our listeners out there. Remember, listen, like, and share. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed with Carrie and Jessica. Together, we can raise the next generation of independent, capable, and compassionate young adults.
We encourage you to send us an email with questions and feedback to info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. Please remember, you are not alone on this parenting journey.